Hi everyone, our group worked on food, gardening, and community. I'm Aubrey Garcia. My teammates are Cindy Coster, Lizzie Crane, and Katie Heinze. So the issue we're covering is about the importance of public gardens and how they play a role in food security and combating climate change. So food security is affecting 14.3% of Americans. And altogether, there are 6,500 food deserts across the country. So we're helping provide, um, you know, fruits and vegetables to the local community, and also making the awareness of climate change and how it affects our community. And we're learning about sustainable practices, food production practices. And although we're working at different agencies, we are still making a difference in our community. I'm working at the FGCU Food Forest. I'm heading the Food Forest project of the GeoGrid project. That is where we're repairing the pathway so that it meets ADA guidelines or wheelchair accessibility. I was working with the compost area, and I realized how just the pathway was just such a tripping hazard for anyone that came. And I worked with our community partner, Marco, who's in the picture with me in that food forest picture, and realized just the very much need of a stable pathway. So the pathway makes it, fixing the GeoGrid pathway would be allowing the accessibility for students who need the access of wheelchairs so that they can complete service learning hours there as well. And also helping the local community of Southwest Florida to also have more access at the food forest. I personally led and organized food forest service learning groups. And that was anyone who signed up at the food forest for completing colloquium hours. I would work with 10 to 20 students, and we were able to complete very big chunks of the GeoGrid. I also worked with Marco and getting students who were passionate about bringing more awareness to making the outdoors more accessible. So I also learned about the sustainable gardening practices such as composting. I helped maintain the compost area and was able to compost 51 pounds of food scraps. On the left side, you can see the compost images. On the right upper hand corner, you can see where the GeoGrid had overgrowth through it, as well as the GeoGrid just being completely separated. Below that are some students that I worked with, and below that is a completed path.
Hi guys, so I'm Katie. I also worked at the FGCU Food Forest. Like stated earlier, our goal of this project was to help make the food forest more accessible to everyone and to educate people on what the food forest does and who it helps. So before starting this project, I was really concerned to learn that Fort Myers has an unusually high poverty rate. That rate is 18% actually, which is a lot higher than most cities. So in order to combat this problem, we figured out a way of making the food forest more accessible to everyone so that more people can use it and more people can use the fruits and vegetables that it provides. So my work personally, I worked on Aubrey's Food Forest GeoGrid project. So this project was to kind of flatten out the uneven terrain of the forest. So the first picture on the top left-hand corner kind of shows what the terrain of the forest was prior to adding the grids. It was very uneven, and in high rainy seasons, it would become very muddy and flooded. And in these high rain seasons is when the forest prospered the most and made the most vegetables and fruits. So then the picture under that kind of shows a close-up picture of what the GeoGrid looks like. So the GeoGrid is a rubber grid that allows for easy irrigation and doesn't doesn't hinder the growth of the forest. So what we did, since you can see there has holes, we put mulch over the grid to kind of fill in the holes and make it a more smooth, stable pathway. So then this pathway, it also allows for the leaves and debris to decompose in it, eventually making it one solid, smooth layer. Um, so another part of the project that I worked on was educating myself and others on the health benefits of the fruits in the forest. So when I first got there, I've always been into herbal medicines and learning about it. So when I first got there, I realized that there was a lot of new plants that I'd never heard of before. So I did my research on what those plants did and what the health benefits of them were. And I was surprised to learn that a lot of the plants in the food forest actually help with immunity. So a lot of these plants, such as elderberry, allspice, hibiscus, they're great to take now because of the whole pandemic going on. A lot of people don't always have access to good health care or immunities like emergency or things like that. So they can actually go to the food forest and get these herbal medicines and take them to protect themselves from the virus and just other pathogens that might be in the air. So as we know also that the food forest is 100% student led. So by that means that we have to take care of the whole food forest. We have to water it and just keep up with the maintenance around the grounds so that it can flourish and provide its fruits to the community and give back.
Hi guys, I'm Liz and I worked with Cross Ministries. And unfortunately, I could not work in their community gardens, but they did need help and volunteers in their food pantry. And my goal was to take the donated food and check expiration dates and sort it out into all these different categories, which are in the pictures on the bottom right. Some of the categories were dry pasta, potatoes, rice, sauce, and in the upper right-hand corner were boxes of donated food. And right underneath that, at the end of our day, that's all we were able to get through. Pretty much each time we went in and volunteered, we got through everything we needed to. Some of our most popular foods that were donated were tuna, vegetables, milk. We probably got over 100 donated items every time we volunteered, which was amazing. So my goal was to also give and associate with my community, and Cross Ministries would not be possible if it weren't for people giving either their time or donations.
So I'm Sydney, and I worked at Lou Gardens, a multi-acre public garden in Orlando. So they don't have food there, but they have a wide variety. So I have what you would call a black thumb. I'm not good with plants. I don't garden. I would kill everything I would touch. So what I did is I worked in the plant nursery. I know that sounds bad with a black thumb, but I didn't work on any of the planting or the plant care. So I organized the pots and planters. Here you can see me working with that, like with giant stacks. That's actually far more organized than when I got there. It was a huge mess that I had to take care of. And then one thing I learned is that if plants are overcrowded and generally in distress, they won't grow well, they'll get sick, they'll die. So you can see all of the natural debris. It was mostly leaves and dirt that had fallen off of trees and gotten out from under the tarps. They're just everywhere, everywhere. And that's halfway through sweeping them up. So I had to sweep up all these leaves. You can see a huge pile right here and one full bucket out of 4 that I managed to fill. I went around and picked up plants. It was particularly windy when I volunteered. So I picked up all the plants that fell down. I had to pick several up twice. I made sure they were spaced out enough. And then I didn't work with them, but there were volunteers there who were there on court-mandated community service. Lou Gardens providing this opportunity allows these people to learn more about giving back so they can learn more about their community. The lady who I was working with actually mistook me for someone there on court mandated community service. She asked where my vest was, and when I said I didn't have one, I wasn't given one, she was very confused. It finally got cleared up when I mentioned I was a student. And then we've got a couple graphs and charts here. So in Orlando, in any city actually, the amount of tree cover is actually correlated to income. So Orlando has a much slighter correlation than some other cities, but you can still see in the low income areas where the lighter green is where the hotter temperatures are, and where the higher income areas are, the darker green is where the where the cooler temperatures are. And this is correlated to carbon emissions, which, as you can see, have skyrocketed in the past 50, 60, 70 years. So what public gardens do, like Lou Gardens, they act as carbon sinks, where they take in massive amounts of carbon, CO2 that's been emitted, and they give out oxygen, combating climate change.
So then the next graph here, we have how common the specific disabilities are. So as you can see at the top, 10% of the US population has a difficulty walking or climbing stairs. And then 1% is in a wheelchair. So the outdoors are not always the most welcoming place for people who might have disabilities. So with our project, we tried to create a space that they can come and enjoy the outdoors by either using the products or the fruits that are grown there, or just giving back to their community and helping out while being involved with nature.
The Food Forest was a really special place because not only are they focused on accessibility through walking impairments or disabilities, but also through giving visual aids such as QR codes displayed throughout the forest that gives those the access to use their phone to scan the QR code and use their phone to read through, or using the visual aids in their phone.
So the last graph shows food insecurity throughout America, and 22 million American children rely on school lunches. And a large portion of that, schools offer free and reduced lunches for kids. And while that's super important, I think it's also important to mention that children should be getting 3 meals a day and not go to school hungry. And that's for adults as well. No child or adult should be starting their day out hungry.
So just wrapping it up now, the fruits of our labor. Although we had to work at 3 different agencies or 3 different sectors of a community garden, we were able to complete every goal we set in front of ourselves and leave a very lasting and impactful, positive impact on our community.
So we helped prepared things to be planted. We helped ensure that plants stay healthy. Packaging food was done, reshaping gardens to ensure accessibility. Those were just a few of the things that our group was able to complete. Because of our different locations, we used 3 different agencies, but we were able to fulfill a wide variety of goals that all met the common theme of our group, which is public gardens and aid towards them. We were able to learn a great deal about service, how it helps others, and how we can help ourselves through service. And then we worked with a wide variety of people, and that allowed us to learn about different people, how they're affected, and why they are volunteering.